Hey everybody, welcome. This is Omar from the program Do We Really Know? Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, good morning. I will show you our friend today. He's going to be joining us, Bobby from Bobby's Perspective. We've been long overdue to have him on our program. Wonderful gentleman. Let's start the timer. Then we will bring our guest in today. We'll see you in 30 seconds. All right, let's go ahead and bring in our friend, brother Bobby on the stage. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. How are you this evening or this night?
Wa alaikum assalam, Umar. Alhamdulillah, so far so good, man. Finally,
Excellent.
we made it happen after 1 year back and forth. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. We've been trying to do the Zoom party and all this, and I said, I'm glad you agreed to do this interview segment. I've been doing this show for almost a year now. I've had 23 guests on here, people who are influencers from LinkedIn, my main platform. And so I appreciate you coming on here. So we already have some of your guests from YouTube here. That's wonderful. Okay, ready or not, Bobby, are you ready to be drilled with the questions?
I'm getting drilled with the questions. Okay, I
Okay.
didn't expect that, but let's go.
Okay. Where did the name Bobby's Perspective come from? Like, where did you come up with that name?
It happened actually during traveling. So I was traveling. I left Germany roughly 10 years ago by now. And I was backpacking through Australia first and foremost, met many different people. And they would always ask me about my opinion, about my perspective. And then I would just talk and talk and talk. I'm a pretty talkative person. So it would essentially go around that I had an opinion on everything. And so people would always tell me, man, your perspective is valuable, your perspective is interesting, and you should open up a YouTube channel. And so ultimately, it was really due to those people that after I heard it multiple times throughout my travels, that I came to the decision, okay, I'm going to open up a YouTube channel and it's going to be literally just my perspective. I'm not going to make a channel that is specific about a certain subject. I'm simply going to share what I do in my life. And this is something that I've been doing way, way back as well. When I was living in Germany, I had my friend group and I would always experiment with new things and my friends would kind of tag along. So this was the motivation behind it. And this is how it came to the channel's name.
That's awesome. I love that. How long have you been streaming? I know you did the vegan way back. How long did you
Ooh.
officially start? Would you say how many years ago?
I have to lie now, but I believe it's roughly 8 years.
Oh
I
wow.
think it's
Okay.
8 years by now. Yeah, for sure. It has been 8 years and has been a slow but steady progression. And I think we reached the most people roughly around 1 year ago, essentially when it came down to my reversion to Islam, alhamdulillah. This is when the channel completely exploded. But even before that, we had great success in battling veganism, because before that, I was a vegan YouTuber, if you will. But then when it wrecked my health, I started speaking against the vegan diet. And this created a lot of controversy, a lot of drama as well, and a lot of ice, of course. So, yeah, but in total, it has been a work of 8 years on YouTube ultimately.
Mashallah. That's great. All right. Let's go to the next person. Okay. Do you miss your home country? I know you were in Germany, but also Macedonia originally. And how did you adjust? This was one of my friends. They had wanted to ask you this question. So, what do you? How would you answer this?
Yeah, that's a great question. As you already mentioned, I grew up in Germany essentially. So I never had this feeling of feeling home. And I'm not saying that to sound dramatic or anything, but it was my reality. I never felt at home. So when I was very, very young and we would always go back to Macedonia, I was surrounded by my cousins, by my aunts, uncles, etc. That's where I would get this homey feeling. But at the same time, we didn't really have a home there, right? So there was still a slight disconnect. And on top of that, my family members would still treat me like the guy from Germany.
Yeah.
And in Germany, on the other hand, I obviously am not a German, and therefore I felt kind of disconnected with that country too. So growing up, I never had this homecoming feeling ultimately. And that's what I believe led me to travel and leave Europe behind. And I was always seeking for this home, essentially. And out of all places, it kind of became Thailand, which is very strange to me personally because I never wanted to live in Thailand particularly, but it kind of pulled me here. But yeah, that being said, I don't really miss anything. I don't operate like that. I don't really have this missing feeling of anything in my life. I might get an impulse where I'm thinking to myself, yeah, well, the Macedonian food would be nice now,
Yeah.
or the Macedonian mountains, that would be nice now. But I don't operate with this feeling of lack. I don't function that way. If I truly would like to go there, then I would just go. But at the moment, I don't feel the pull, and I have many, many things to sort out here. And yeah, I'm focused on that.
Awesome. How old were you when you moved from Macedonia? You were young, and I also want to say my background's from the Balkans as well. So I wasn't born there, but when I went to the Balkans, I felt like I was at home. Like something in my soul told me like I belong here. It was just an amazing feeling to be there. So let's go
That's
back.
interesting.
How old were you when you left?
What
And
was
you had that
what
feeling?
was your ethnicity? Sorry to interrupt you, but what was your ethnicity again? You're
A
half
Bosnian.
Bosnian
So
or full?
grandparents are from Bosnia. They're from Mostar. My grandparents from
Yeah,
both
okay.
sides.
Bosnian. Right, right, right.
But they migrated with the Turkish people in Turkey and Palestine, actually. So
Yeah.
now some of my relatives are living in Palestine and some in Jordan.
Mm.
But ethnically and the culture, we're still Bosnian. So we do the food, the Bosnian food. We do the same traditions, even though they haven't been there for 100 years.
Right, right, right. I see that kept in the family. It stayed, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of course, you have this feeling when you go back to your soil, essentially on the Balkan, we say it like that, it's the soil that we kind of sprung out from, and there will always be this natural connection to that land. Absolutely. The thing is that I actually got born in Germany. I don't know if I ever talked about that,
So you were born.
but yeah, I was born in Germany, yeah, but we would always go back to Macedonia roughly twice per year because it's not really far. If you fly, it's 2 hours, or we would drive down with the car. My father was a maniac when it comes down to that. He always wanted to drive. And it would take 24 hours essentially. We would just drive through from Germany through Austria, then to Croatia, Serbia, Macedonia. That's pretty much it. And we would do that at least twice per year. So in total, I think I stayed 2 to 3 months when I was younger in Macedonia and then the rest in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. And how did you adjust to the? I mean, so you were born in Germany, right? But then there was not
Yeah.
much adjustment. You kind of felt. Where did you feel you were home more? Germany was your home?
No, I never felt, as I said already, I never felt home in Germany. When I was young, I felt as Macedonia was my land, my country, but then later I kind of felt disconnected with that land as well due to political reasons, etc. But that being said, no, when I grew up in Germany, you have to understand that I grew up in a neighborhood where it was predominantly foreigners. So we had Bosnians like yourself, we had Macedonians, Serbians, many Balkan people. We had Turks, we had Moroccans, Algerians, many different nationalities, Polish, Russian. And it was from the get go that we are not German. So there was not a proper integration in that sense that you see, for example, with newer countries such as Australia or America. There's this new nationality that unites different ethnicities. But in Germany or in France, it's pretty clear what a German is. It's pretty clear what a French person is. So therefore, even though people like myself that were born there, it just never felt like we are Germans, therefore. And I would always say that myself. I said, if my parents were astronauts and they would fly to Mars and I was born on Mars, I wouldn't be a Martian, right?
Yeah.
So I would still be what I am. And it's absolutely not disconnectable, essentially.
I agree
So
with you. Yeah.
not, it was always crystal clear. So we just never felt like Germans. We kept our traditions at home. We always spoke our language, So yeah, I never felt German.
Similar to us, like we kept our Bosnian language, but also they picked up Arabic as well. And the Arabic is useful because of the
Of
Quran
course.
and all that. And so you would see these white people with blonde hair and all that walking in the Middle East, wondering where they're from. And because the Turkish people took some Bosnian people back in the early 1900s, brought them in that region.
Wow.
They even had homes in Palestine that were Bosnian-style homes, and so people knew these were different people, but then they wanted to melt in the society, and now the younger generation are forgetting the language and all that, but it's always wonderful to remember the past and remember all of the culture. And like I said, I felt at home going there, and hope to go back again this year to travel to
Sure.
Bali. It's just there's this feeling of nostalgia, right? That
Of course, of course.
was beautiful. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, what is your favorite thing in Islam, Bobby?
Favorite thing in Islam is Tawheed, just
Tawheed.
plain and simple. So, because this is what distinguishes Islam from every other religion. It's quite interesting, when you look, for example, at movements such as perennialism. Perennialism means that essentially you can find the truth within different religions, and every religion has a specific type of truth. What does it even mean? What kind of truth are we really speaking about, right? So if we're looking into Hinduism, for example, it's essentially polytheistic, even though they will say that there is only one God and he manifests in many other gods. But okay, if we say then we are looking for this red thread, we're searching for the truth, and all of those religions are kind of pointing towards that truth. If I would accept that, then I would have to ask, what is that truth? And then we have to come to the conclusion that it is Islam, that it is submission to one God alone. So even the Christians with their Trinity, ultimately, if you go into the essence of the whole Godhead, it is only one. Okay. So it is about the worship of one God alone. Now, again, you're talking about Hindus, millions of different gods, but if you go into the Godhead, you have only Brahman. You only have one God again. So even if we take this perennialist approach, ultimately the truth, the underlying truth is Islam. And so therefore, why not name the child, right? It is Islam. And only Islam as a religion is pure of such innovations and such partners that they added to God. So why not then logically conclude that Islam is the truth, right? So this is what is the favorite thing, quote unquote, about Islam. It's that it's purely monotheistic. Because growing up, I thought that Christianity, Judaism, Islam, they're all monotheistic, and then they have their specific prophets. That's how I thought as a child, as a teenager. But that's not what it is. If you look into it, yet again, only Islam is purely monotheistic. And that's why, if you truly believe in God, then you have to understand, of course, what God's religion is and what the relationship to God is. If there's only one God, does he then want you to worship anything besides him? How does that make sense? Or moreover, if God is omnipotent, all-seeing, would he then need a specific intercessor that you need to pray to, and he then will redirect it to God? For example, Orthodox Christians, they like to pray to saints because in their belief system, those saints are closer to God, and then they can transmit your prayers, which is absolutely senseless, of course, because God is omnipotent and he hears everything, all seeing, all hearing. So you don't need anybody to stand between you. So that's my favorite thing, again, about Islam.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. Yeah, the Tawheed, the oneness of God. No other religion has that, and people can realize that that's the ultimate truth. People always would say, even in the Quran, it states there's one God. Even the atheists would say, "Who created the earth and the heaven?" They'll say God. That's in there.
Exactly.
And they eventually believe in that, but then when you come to the details of it, it's like that. The majority of people, from what I've seen in America or other places, they say there's one God, but then if the churches or some of these places, they go directly and they say, "Oh no, there's a Trinity. You pray to Jesus." It depends where you're at in America. African American community, they get so strict, especially with the talking in tongues thing, and they're like, "Oh, we have Jesus in our veins," and it's like, where do you get this feeling from? It's crazy. So okay. Let's go on.
Yeah, and it is a feeling after all. One thing, actually, I just have it here on my phone because we were speaking about this.
Yeah.
In Islam, I'm just going to quote here the translations, obviously. In Islam, we have, of course, He is Allah, the one and only, right? So this is to be found within the Quran. In Christianity and Judaism, in the Old Testament, you can hear the Shema, which is, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord," right? So there you can find, again, Islam. Hinduism, when they're speaking about the one God that manifests, they say, "He is one without a second." So even there, they understand that the God, the original God, before all of those quote unquote manifestations, he is one without a second. In Sikhism, we find there exists but one God who is called the true, the creator. And even the Zoroastrians, which is kind of dead religion by now, but this were the Persians believed in this before Islam.
Yeah.
He is one, he is without an origin or end. He has no father or mother, wife or son. So, which reminds us as well of neither is he begotten nor does he beget.
Yeah.
So, you can find all of this within all of the religions. And therefore, yet again, if I agree with perennialism, I would have to ask myself, okay, what is that truth? And then which religion embodies that truth? And it's only Islam.
That's correct. Absolutely beautiful. You're right. Appreciate you bringing that up to us, Bobby. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
no worries.
How do you maintain a connection with God or Allah, and do you find it beautiful? What do you? It's at the older you get in Islam, the older you get in your religion, there are some challenges, and you need to maintain a way to keep it more beautiful and have the connection. Especially if you live in the West or live in other areas. So how do you maintain your connection? How long have you been a Muslim now, officially?
I think it's roughly 1.5 years, kind of closing onto the second year, slowly but surely.
So you kind of new, and so in that sense, you're probably still eager to learn more things. We've been born with
Absolutely.
it, but there are times when iman goes down, iman goes up, and so you gotta
Exactly.
push through it. So how are you struggling with your connection right now at this point?
I'm not struggling at all, to be honest, because it's interesting that you mentioned this word. Coming from a Christian background, Christians would always say we're struggling with our faith. And as
Yeah.
Christians, we have to struggle with our faith. And for me, that was always ridiculous.
Yeah.
Of course, you have days, this is common knowledge within the religion, of course, that you have stronger iman and weaker iman. That is natural. That is
Yeah.
normal. However, in terms of struggling with your faith, for me, there is no struggle because I understood the basics of the faith, and this is why I accepted Islam. I did a lot of research before accepting it, right? And for me, it's not only a feeling, it is something that I can rationally come to conclude. It is something that you can understand. And when I take Islam as an ideology, even as a simple mental construct, I can give you reasoning why it is superior to every other system out there. I was questioning political systems, nationalism, democracy, communism, and then, of course, comparative religions. And ultimately, even on a rational basis, Islam trumps every other belief system. So, therefore, even if I have a day where I might not feel so energized for the prayer, let's say, it doesn't matter because rationally I already know that there is no superior belief system to Islam, anyways. Right?
Yes.
There is nothing else.
Yeah.
The only option, and it's not an option, but the only other alternative, quote unquote, would be nihilism, where you simply don't believe in God and everything goes and it's senseless. There would be the other option because
Yeah.
all the other religions cannot compare anyways to Islam, right? So what kind of worldview would that be? So for me, there is no other alternative anyways, but keeping the connection with Allah is simply through prayer, of course. However, when it comes down to, is it beautiful, you asked? It is the most beautiful thing. But visiting a Muslim country just recently, it became even more beautiful because I learned the importance of being surrounded by Muslim brothers all the time, no matter where you are. Because Islam, I would say, it is a simple religion in terms of understanding, but in terms of practicing it, it actually takes discipline. It is a religion of discipline because to do your 5 prayers, for many people, this is unthinkable. They can't even imagine doing this. Waking up early in the morning and then taking breaks throughout their day, being at work and whatnot, and now having to pray, quote unquote. It is actually a religion of discipline. But that resonated with me a lot because as a teenager, I was really into bodybuilding. And I understood right away that everything that is valuable in life takes discipline, right? This is the beauty of it. However, if you pursue bodybuilding, let's say, and you're surrounded by people that are eating junk food 24/7, it's pretty hard for you to maintain that lifestyle, right? There is a saying that if you show me your friends, I will show you who you are. So you have to be surrounded by certain people and that will reflect upon you. And this is when I realized, whilst being in a Muslim country, how important that is because it makes it actually much easier and much more sustainable because we're all following the same path. We're all going into the same direction. And therefore, when it comes down to Muslims living in the West, I already said that I believe, and I'm not a scholar, this is not me giving a ruling here, giving a fatwa, but I personally, seeing the situation in Europe, knowing how it is, I would say that hijrah is absolutely mandatory at some point in life because Europe is changing radically, it's changing quickly, and it's not changing for the better. It's already a failed society. Of course, you still have countries like Bosnia and Albania, but I'm talking about the West, Germany, Sweden, France. It is not really sustainable, and there's always this conflict. Nobody should go through such a life as a Muslim. For what? If there are so many other options, you know? So I came to realize that living in a Muslim country is essentially something that we all should aspire to do in the long run, inshallah.
Beautiful, yeah. Like I'm glad you were able to go to a Muslim country because in that case your iman increases and you see a lot
Yes.
of Muslims in your area who are able to follow and practice. You can talk to them, you feel more open, and you can even go to the mosque or whatever to go and pray with them and then feel at home. So that's a beautiful thing. Everybody who has not gone definitely needs the opportunity to go there to a Muslim country and see how Muslim, non-Muslim or Muslim, no matter what, see how the culture is, see how the media treats people compared to how they treat them in real life, right? Because the media is always lying about certain things. Go there, see how the Muslims are, and you might be surprised of how they're gonna treat you. You know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the media has to destroy the image of Muslim countries, especially first world Muslim countries, because they're in direct competition. Or I would even say that the Muslim countries are just too far ahead by now. The West has to play catch up. And when it comes down to taxation, for example, certain countries like the Emirates, taxation is not zero, but pretty much zero. And the West cannot compete with that. So all their skilled people, all their entrepreneurs, all their millionaires, they're simply leaving those European countries for Muslim countries, even though they're not even Muslims. But many of them, alhamdulillah, are actually accepting Islam as well in those Muslim countries because they see how it is practiced in reality, right? So the media has, of course, a huge motivation in destroying that. And of course, other more sinister things as well that I don't want to get into.
Beautiful, beautiful. I want to say hello to a few people here. Assalamu alaikum, brothers, from Retro
Walaikum assalam.
Reality. We have some people here from, where did I see it? There was a beautiful guy here, I think from Kashmir or something like that. But Assalamu alaikum from Sabrina. Wonderful to have all these wonderful people here. Over 80 people watching.
Nice.
And what is this? There's a question here. We don't want to get into any hate or any questions like that. So can you ask Bob anything? No, we don't want to do that.
No, I just see, sorry, Omar, but I see that many people are trying to ask certain questions. Guys, it would be preferred to send them through a super chat because I cannot filter through the chat whilst we're talking here. And then I will be able to see them. So if you want to support the channel here, if you want to support our work and you want to get your questions answered, then just send a super chat and I will be able to see it.
Perfect. And if you guys want to go ahead and subscribe to my channel is pretty obvious.
Okay.
It's live Omar #2 stream. Just copy the link there, put it in the browser. You'll see it. I have interviews from all over, different types, people from Dubai, different topics. Basically, my channel is more about getting to know people from around the world based on not just religion, based on what they do, how they have society, how they have different things from around the world. Either an entrepreneur or a marketer. And so we're very happy to have Bobby here to be on the program as well. Here we're almost done pretty much, Bobby. But oh, here we go. We have a Bosnian from Chicago, Takusi.
Dobar dan. Assalamu alaikum.
Where you guys from? If you guys can tell us where you guys are from, we would like that. There is he's from Kashmir, and there you go. Some wonderful people there. Appreciate you guys joining us. Okay, I think there's one more question. Okay, have you started reading Quran Arabic, and how do you feel about it? Have you? I know you mentioned in the past you were trying to learn about it. Have you started doing that?
Yes, I have started learning Arabic and I'm still learning, but I'm not proficient in reading the Quran yet. So I'm still learning Arabic. I'm still learning the basics. It takes a bit longer than I would like it to, but it is what it is. And then inshallah, one day I can. But at the moment, I'm still not able to read it.
Absolutely. So where are you at now? And what level? Are you just the letters? Are you familiar with the letters?
Yeah, letters basically, and putting letters together, reading it. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's how it goes.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
great. Yeah, it takes
still a lot to learn. But that's the
Okay.
thing as well, right? With Islam, as I said previously on my channel, it is extremely simple and it shouldn't be a prerequisite to learn Arabic and all of it in order to accept Islam. So accepting Islam should be very straightforward. All you have to believe is that there's only one God worthy of worship, and you should believe in all the prophets without excluding anyone. That's pretty much what it is, right?
Exactly.
And so then the rest comes with time, and that's the beauty of it. Because I believe the truth is simple but complex at the same time. So you can say the Shahada. This is already the fullness of the truth, just here, simple for you. You can say it, accept it. However, if you want to have challenges within the religion, you want to learn more, it's never ending. It's never ending. You can learn a whole new language. You can learn a whole new alphabet that you want to read, right? And then let alone when it comes down to recitation of the Quran, fiqh, hadith, and whatnot, it's just never ending. It's an ocean, right? So I think it can stimulate ultimately the very simple-minded, simple person and the intellectual
Absolutely.
alike.
Yeah. It's one of the religions where you keep studying and studying more about it, right? As long as you have the Shahada, the belief in one God, and then the Prophet, that Prophet, and then from there you can expand on your learning of the different parts. And so you can spend maybe a year or two learning this thing, and then move on to learn something else. One of the religions where you keep learning more and more about. So it's an amazing religion. Absolutely perfect. So
Yeah, it is. I just want to add and say that it, of course, it's amazing, obviously, but learning about Islam actually makes sense. So when we come down to, again, I come from a Christian background, so I give my perspective on it obviously the most because I have my experiences. If you try to learn about certain subjects, there will be not a satisfactory answer. And I said that on my channel as well. I tried to understand. So I read the Bible by myself, okay? Then I wanted to understand what it means. So I read the exegesis on it. It's essentially like tafsir. Then I went to the priests, I went to the monks, and then I even went to Greece, which is the origin of Orthodox Christianity. I went to Mount Athos, which is a secluded island where only monks live, only men for over 1,000 years. No woman has stepped foot over there. And I want to learn from those monks, right? Directly, go to the source. And I did that as well. However, nobody will give you a satisfactory answer when it comes down to the Trinity, for example.
Right.
They will just brush it off as a mystery. And the thing is, I don't mind that there's certain things that we cannot comprehend. I get that. But when it comes down to who God is, we have to understand it at least briefly, right? At least, okay, God is one. So now he's uniquely one, of course. I cannot understand his unity. He's not just one like I am one and you are one. There's a uniqueness to this unity, but nevertheless, he's one. Right. With the Trinity, they will just brush it off as a mystery. And this is why it becomes frustrating, actually. I, like everybody else in my family, didn't research Christianity, and therefore I was a Christian. But then when I started researching Christianity as the first one in my family, this is when I essentially got all of those roadblocks and saw it's not getting any further. I'm not getting those explanations that I'm seeking for. And this is when I had to look elsewhere, right? And that's what I'm saying. With Islam, on the other hand, if you're sincere, if you're honest, you can always dive deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and you will always get a satisfactory answer to your questions. And that is so unique as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I mean, people need to be educated. They need to learn. They need to study whatever you're at. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, if somebody can say that I'm a doctor, but they haven't studied to be a doctor, and they say, oh, I know how to treat your knee, or I know how to do this from reading this or that. No, you don't know how to do that. You haven't gone to the experts. You need to study, go to school, make sure you understand it, and then possibly we can have you treated. Religion is the same thing, right? You need to study it, make sure you understand it, and then it's actually religion is even more simpler than being a doctor. Wouldn't you say so? It's a little bit in the sense, a little bit simpler, a little bit easier in terms of understanding the idea of there's one God, he's the creator. In terms of studying that, what would you think about that? Would you say so?
Yeah, as I said, I believe that the truth is simple and complex at the same time. So therefore, what is a doctor? A doctor is somebody that heals people, ideally, right? So in this day and age, of course, you have many doctors that advocate for all kinds of pharmaceuticals due to the pharmaceutical complex. But in general, a doctor should be a person that heals other people.
Right.
That is the simple truth about the profession. And then if you go into the description and into the mechanics of what a surgeon has to do, etc., then it becomes very, very complex. But it's the same with religion. I would say If it is true on the surface level, it will be simple. With the Trinity, on the other hand, it is not, because on the surface level, it is already confusing. They tell you, worship the Father, worship the Son, worship the Holy Ghost, and they're all united, they're co-equal, but they're different, etc., etc., you name it. So on the surface level, it's already confusing. And I learned in my life that you cannot trust people that cannot give you a straight answer. So if you ask me, for example, a yes or no question, I will answer you with yes or no. And then I can expand and go into the complexities of it. But first, I'm going to give you a yes or no answer if it is such a question. And that is impossible with many religions. And this is where I saw right away, intuitively, okay, they're hiding something because the truth is always simple at first. This is what it is. That's why I read out those other quotes of the other scriptures. Because, again, even in the Old Testament, you find, Hear, O Israel, because it's addressing a certain population, which, by the way, goes again in absolute accordance with Islam, because Islam says that God sent prophets to specific nations. So, therefore, here we're talking about the children of Israel, not the ones of nowadays.
Yeah.
So, we're speaking to them, and it says, Hear, O Israel, your Lord, your God is one. Right? So there it is. There it is to be found, and it's very simple, yet again. That is how it goes. It never said, okay, your God is 3 and 1, and now you do the math. Right?
Yeah.
This is how I go about things. If you cannot give me a straight answer to my question, then I start essentially mistrusting you. There's something you hide.
Exactly. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I appreciate you being here, Bobby. Those are the majority of the questions there. I would like to thank you again for your humble ability to be on this program after all these years and your patience as we were trying to get you on the program. I appreciate you so much. And we learned a lot about your upbringing, where you came from, and your journey into Islam for a bit. It's amazing. Any last minute words for our viewers here who are going to be watching this later on too?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I have to thank you for your patience, of course, because you've been trying to reach out to me for a year by now. And so, alhamdulillah, we finally made it work. Last words to my audience, to people watching here, watching on your channel. Of course, check out Bobby's Perspective on YouTube. I now started as well re-uploading my content on X because YouTube is censoring quite a bit. And other than that, some closing words. As always, investigate Islam yourself, because when you're watching me now, many people think, oh, okay, this guy's a Muslim, he's advocating for Islam, and that's that. They're not looking any further. I was not only a Christian, I was not only a guy that stumbled across the Quran and got deluded into it, and now, oh, I'm a Muslim by chance. No, it was very, very different. I actually, and may God forgive me for this, but I hated Islam growing up. It's very important to understand. On the Balkan, we have a lot of propaganda against Islam. On the Balkan, Islam is the enemy's religion to this very day for the majority of the Slavs. So, therefore, for me to actually look into Islam took a lot, let's put it that way, because to this very day, I'm still not in contact with my family members. I haven't talked to my father at all since I reverted to Islam. He doesn't want to talk to me, right? So, there were many things on the line. I didn't just accept Islam because, oh, it's fun. But many times I hear that even, oh, yeah, he accepted Islam because it's a grift. It generates more clicks. That's why he did it. Yeah, sure. I care more for clicks than I care for my own father. Yeah, that makes sense. But absolutely ridiculous, of course.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I had everything to lose and nothing material to gain ultimately by accepting Islam. And even if we're speaking about this grifting on YouTube, it's an important subject because you see many people actually grifting on YouTube. But what generates the clicks is if you are a Christian, quote unquote, and you're looking into Islam, but you're not really accepting Islam. You're simply doing one reaction video after another, and many Muslims will come and cheer you on. Yes, brother, accept Islam. And they never do. They just milk the cash cow for many, many years. Right? So if I really want to make money, I wouldn't have to revert at all. I would have just played with the audience, right? Maliciously. Hey, I'm going to accept it tomorrow, guys. I need a little bit more proof. But I didn't do that. I even gave myself an ultimatum, right? So I had everything to lose, and I still accept Islam, alhamdulillah, because it is the truth. And that comes from a guy that went through Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, even shamanism, I went to the Amazon jungle to brew the psychedelic brews with the shamans in the jungle. I did all of that, fasting and whatnot, veganism, diets. And I came to the rational, spiritual as well conclusion that Islam is the truth. That's why I accepted it. So, therefore, all I can say is you don't have to take my word for it. Simply look at my journey, understand that it was not fun. Quite the opposite. It was very difficult for me. So, ask yourself, why was that the case? And all you have to do is research yourself, read the Quran by yourself, and then come to your conclusion. Because how often do we see people on YouTube hating on Islam, but they've never read the Quran? Never at all. They simply cherry pick certain phrases that they heard somewhere, and they assume, yeah, that's the Quran, of course, without looking into it. So do yourself the favor, if you're sincere, if you're honest, read the whole Quran, study Islam, and then you can make an educated decision. That's what it's about. Because we are all ignorant to an extent. I'm ignorant when it comes down to proper technique in ping pong playing, right? So I have no idea how that really works. But when you pair ignorance with arrogance, then you have a recipe for disaster because now you don't know, but you think that you know it all. And you combine those things, and now it is destructive for yourself because now you close yourself up and you can never find the truth. Because now you go through life with this arrogance, this boasting attitude of thinking, I know it all. And like that, you will never learn. So do yourself the favor. If you critique something, if you hate something, study it. Even if you go from the perspective, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, right? If you think Islam is your enemy, keep it even closer. Learn about it. And then you can make an educated guess.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. I love your story, like how you actually went through all these phases. You went to Buddhism, you studied, and you were kind of eager to find the truth. And that's amazing. A lot of people aren't really interested in that. A lot of people are just into the dunya, the world, and how to get my job, 9 to 5, how to make money. And that's really a sad thing because eventually, you're going to pass away. And where am I going to? So I love your beautiful words and inspiration to people, Bobby. That's great.
Yeah, because ultimately what you mentioned there, people are not interested in it. And I cannot blame them because comfort feels the best, right? We all want to be comfortable. And therefore, no matter what will make you comfortable, people will accept that. So, for example, you come home from work and you cannot wait to get comfortable. Get on the couch, order some greasy food, eat a hamburger, watch Netflix. Oh, finally comfortable again. Finally, right? But like that, you will have no growth whatsoever. How many people, it's a minority, come home from work and then they keep on grinding, keep on hustling because they want to break free from that rat race. They go to the gym, they start side businesses, side hustles, and whatnot. But it takes you to get out of the comfort zone. And so seeking for truth is always absolutely uncomfortable. Because as I said, if you grow up in a certain culture, and religion nowadays, unfortunately, is intertwined with culture, and those people are Hindus, those people are Christians, whatever, and you want to seek for the truth, but the truth will bring you out of that cultural context, out of that comfort. Now you have an issue. It's not warm and cozy. People are not supportive anymore. Maybe they will start hating you now, right? This is what happens when you pursue the truth. So pursuing the truth is not nice and easy. It's not comfortable. And this is why many people won't do it. This is why the movie The Matrix is actually quite powerful. For people that watched it, there is a scene with the rat. The rat is the guy that will rat out all of his friends ultimately to just get back into the Matrix. He's meeting up with the agents and he's eating a steak. And he says to the agent that he knows that this steak is not real. It's just a matrix, an illusion. And all he wants is to forget about the truth. He wants to forget the truth. So this is essentially the real description of a kafir, right? He wants to discard all of that. He wants to hide the truth and he wants to go back into the matrix and just eat his damn steak and enjoy. Right? That's what it is. That's what it really boils down to. Truth is something that many people can't handle, right? Like this Jack Nicholson quote. You want the truth? You cannot handle the truth. But it's really the case.
Exactly.
Because the truth in many instances will bring you out of your environment completely. People will think you're crazy now. Right? And that's why many people don't want to seek it. So you have to be a little bit different, let's say, to actually pursue truth. Most people won't do that.
Absolutely. I agree with you. You made a lot of wonderful points there for sure on that. people don't want the truth, right? But if you seek it, it's open. You got to go ahead and realize where you're going to end up, where you are now, and just to struggle. It's not about eating a hamburger or going to a job 8 to 5, 9 to 5 every day. You got to realize where it's going to happen, where you're going to be going in the future. So appreciate that. Well, thank you, Bobby, for being on the program. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here in a few seconds. Appreciate you again. You made some wonderful, beautiful remarks here. Hopefully, we'll do it again sometime later. But appreciate you. May God guide you and keep you straight fast, and all of us as well, and keep you on the straight path, and guide all the viewers who are watching to realize and research and study what Islam Muslims are. The other day, I was talking to a friend, and somebody said something about oppression and Muslims and all that, and I was kind of furious in terms of this is all the media. Just look at it. There's no oppression in Islam. You want to oppress your wife or oppress this. I'm like, where are you getting these from? A lot of people are ignorant and they just watch the YouTube. So your channel, may God bless it, to make people watch it and learn about it. The Deen Show as well. The Deen Show is also a wonderful program that you've been on. All these programs, people are learning more and more about it. So appreciate you again. And I'm going to end the stream here in a few seconds. I know I said this before. Any last minute, and one more sentence from you, because you're beautiful. Wonderful.
Thank you very much, brother. No, I believe we said everything now. Now we can conclude it, of course. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you very much for supporting. Go subscribe to Umar as well. You have the link in the description box there on the channel. And see you soon, inshallah.
All right, let me end the stream. Goodbye, guys. Assalamu alaikum, which means may the peace and blessings be upon you all, which is actually a prayer to wish peace upon everybody all over the world. That's what we want. We want peace for everybody. We want unity. We want everybody to live together and have wonderful time. I want to thank Bobby, my wonderful guest, and all the wonderful viewers who are watching. We've had over 90 people watching, and Bobby's a wonderful guy. Take care, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.